Glad to have you join me on the program. I'm Sydney Okafo. I'm standing in for Simisola Adigun. Another attempt to amend the Nigerian's 1999 constitution to allow for a single tenure of 6 years for the president, state governors, and area council chairmen has been stalled at the House of Representatives. The bill, sponsored by the member representing the Idiato Federal Constituency, Imo State, Ikenga Ugochinyere, and 33 others, also saw the rotation of the office of the president between the North and the South region, and the governorship among 3 senatorial districts in each of the federation. The proposed legislation seeks to alter Section 76, 116, 132, and 136 in the Nigerian 1999 Constitution as amended. The general principle of the bill noted these amendments are to ensure inclusive governance and to curb wastage occasioned by 4-year periodic elections. However, the bill was rejected by the lawmakers when it was put to a voice voted by the Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas, who presided over the plenary.
I rise to move that a bill for an act to alter the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended to provide for a single term of 6 years for the office of President and state governors, provide for the rotation of offices of President and state governors and chairmen of local government council among the inherent regions and zones, and to provide that all elections be held on a single day to be read for a second time. I so move.
Those against you say nay. The nays have it.
The sponsors of the bill have assured they will not back down in the quest to have the bill passed. According to them, the bill will be represented at a later time after more consultation. Joining me to discuss this further is a political affair analyst, Adewale Ajadi. Thanks for joining me on the program. Let me start by getting your thoughts on this 6-year single-term bill for presidents, governors, and other area council chairmen, which its sponsors say will curb the wastage and ensure inclusive governance in Nigerian politics.
Well, unfortunately, this responsibility of representing us does not allow us to scrutinize the motivation of people when they come up with their own notion of reforms. Because if it did, this should be properly interrogated. The 6-year term does not offer any president, any governor a chance for transformation. In fact, the 4-year term itself is a ludicrous copy of the American system. We're a developing country. We need those in leadership to be able to spend enough time to have policy to shift direction of the country or to be held accountable for not having the impact. But this kind of wasteful period where somebody spent 4 years or 8 years has not really demonstrated their impact. Another person comes in and changes direction fully. It's the bane of wastage. If you look at how much money has been spent in this country starting projects that are never completed, it will show that this suggestion is irresponsible at the very least. It is the most kind of irresponsible conduct that anybody who is a representative of the people should suggest at this point in time.
Does a shorter 6-year single tenure or 8-year tenure of 4 years each truly guarantee the people get the deliverable of democracy? So far, we have been using the 8-year tenure. So in terms of deliverable, can this single 6-year tenure solve some of the challenges we are facing in our political sphere?
I don't think 8 years is enough. I think you need a period of about 8 to 10 years. If you look at Nigeria's data since independence, if you want to judge milestones of transformation of any kind, you have a period of about 10 years from gestation, from the inception of the project, gestation of the project to transformation of behavior and to clear impact. This is not arguing for longer term for politicians for the sake of it, but to make sure that people have discernible impact and they're accountable for what they started and finish, and they're held accountable for the impact of what they do. Let's look at it. I mean, today is showing, for example, signing of contract with Brazil on agricultural transformation in Nigeria in all the local governments by some representative of the federal government. This was exactly done in the first term of President Buhari, and an attempt was signed by some Brazilian organization. We have never even reviewed the impact of those. We are replicating another time. And the Buhari government is probably the first government that tried to finish project that was started by earlier governments. What usually happens is that a new government comes in and then we start completely anew. And we forget the project that's not finished. Now, if the idea of 6 years is about making sure there is efficiency, you can compare that to the wastefulness that it will generate. There is nothing to be gained. We are a developing country. We need transformation. We need our leaders to be accountable for transformation. We don't need people just to come into office, make out like Udrats, and their colleagues, become billionaires and move on, leaving projects unfinished. That's what we've been having, even with 8 years.
All right, let's also look at the area of rotation of this government thing of a thing. Isn't it high time it should be entrenched in the constitution to include all 6 geopolitical zones of the country instead of this gentleman agreement we have had that between the north and the south? And still, yes, we are still looking for how this will help us in our political fair.
I think all of these things are the elite trying to make sure that all of them wear the government headship like a chieftaincy title. It has nothing to do with the people. It has nothing to do with the people. We have over 300 different ethnic groups in this country. If it's ethnicity that we want representation. If we are serious about that, then we would practice a system of proportional representation, where every different dimension of our diversity as a country is reflected. Why has it got to be some form of headship of people doing it on a rotational basis? And if you did it on a rotational basis, does that mean that we have real accountability, responsibility to the people from those geopolitical zones? No, it doesn't. We have seen it. It never does. Is the elite just exchanging musical chairs, each one of them trying to be Nigerian president or Nigerian governor so that they have their turn? It's turn-by-turn arrangement. It's not really about genuine representation or even participation. And what we need mostly is participation. Now, if we are talking about representation and there is lack of representation, why is there never been a woman vice president in this country? Women form 49.5% of our population. Are there any less citizens of this country than the men? Why is this, if these people are really committed to proper representation and fairness, why are they not talking of women? This is just a pissing contest. This is just, oh, my ethnic group has not had their turn. Let me have the turn so that I can be the guy to make money while I'm president. That's what it's all about. It's not about fairness. It's not about justice. It's not about equity. It's about ridiculous posture and egoistical posturing for that matter. If we are really serious about representation, let's have proportional representation. Let's have all the different ethnic groups across Nigeria, Tarok, Idoma, you name it. All of the smaller groups, not just Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa people just exchanging amongst themselves. Let's have all of these people be across the board, have proportional representation in legislature. And the best way to do it, by the way, is to do proportional representation for legislatures, both federal and state first, and test it out for a period and see how it works before we start talking about this so-called zonal rotation. 6 years zonal rotation, what consistency in policy would we have? We already have a challenge, turning our diversity to an advantage. This will just turn it into a cacophony of chaos.
There have been numerous attempts to amend the constitution to ensure that all zones produce a presidency. All to no avail. Why is it so hard to have this entrenched in the constitution to ensure inclusivity of every region?
It's not about inclusivity. Zonal arrangement. We're not zones. These are political terms that have been developed for the sake of some kind of notion of diversity. Our diversity is more extreme than zones. So zonal arrangement is just somebody's little game. You know, in fact, where does this idea of zonal representation come from? It's not really ethnicity. Neither is it our diversity, really. You know, the reality of this is we want full participation of our people in our governance so that we all can be accountable for what happens rather than blaming governance on a small minority of people and saying it's government that did it. If we are going to be responsible, let's have proportional representation on the level of councillors. Let's have proportional representation. And what proportional representation means that the smallest of parties, if their ticket matches a certain criteria, they are represented. It's not just the big parties. It's not a winner-takes-all system. The winner-takes-all system is the tyranny of the majority. So rotating it around doesn't change the parties that are in power. It just makes sure that different people within the party get the same the chance to control the country. What difference does that make? What difference does it make? Because one person is from the Northwest and somebody is from the Southwest. Does that make any difference? I don't know why this is being done, but it certainly is not in the interest of what is the stated objective.
All right, thank you so much, political affair analyst Adewale Ajadi. We really appreciate your time with us. Thank you so much, sir. All right, we'll quickly go on a short break, and when we return, the conversation continues. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. We are still discussing the 6-year single tenure, and my next guest is public affairs analyst Ikenna Umewu. Hope I pronounced the name very well. It's nice to have you on the program, sir. Okay. All right. Now, let me start this way. We see that this problem of this rotation play out in the political parties. The PDP, let's say that's the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is a perfect example. The gentleman's agreement of who will be chosen as the presidential candidate has worsened the crisis which has weakened the opposition status of this party. No doubt, it's far-reaching without any amendment of the constitution. How else can this challenge be addressed?
Constitutionality, tinkering with our constitution, amending our constitution does not amend Nigeria until we amend the implementers of our constitution. You mentioned PDP, but may I ask you, can you draw a line between PDP and APC? Between APC or Labour Party? Between Labour Party or whatever party? You can't draw any line. It's the same people. They are nomadic politicians, for goodness sake. They are migrants. If somebody wins, another party wins election in this state tomorrow, the next thing you will hear is that so and so 20,000 people have decamped from Alemosho local government into so party. You go to any state in Nigeria, all the local government chairmen must come from the party of the governor. Does that show you we are ready for democracy? These things cannot change. They cannot change until we, the people who implement these policies, decide to change when we understand that we have not done this country any favor. I doubt if Nigeria will change through the ballot. I have my doubts. I have my doubts. Times are gone when they used to tell us If you don't believe in this, go and vote him out. Vote who out? Will they allow you to vote? After voting, will they count your vote? Somebody computes figures and cents, and the person becomes winner. From local government to the state governor election to the presidential. With none of these things, changing constitution, changing whatever, changing parties, party names, those are nomenclatures. Nothing will change in Nigeria politically for the positive until we, the implementers, purveyors of politics, decide to change.
This rotation also includes governorship position for minority group in the country. It's a huge feat to have one of their own attain such top level in governance. Is it a decision for the party in this case as well?
Yes, parties, if we want rotation, it should trickle down from top to down. We can't discuss rotation of presidency or presidential seats without rotation of the governor. It is good you mentioned the governor. I assume and guess we are talking to Nigeria and about Nigeria. Let me give you one state. I am not saying this to denigrate anybody, but the people who are the majority in Benue State are the most politically selfish people in Nigeria. They are worse than people who control the presidency. Since the creation of Benue State in 1976, anytime the governor of Benue State has been chosen through the ballots or supposedly through the ballots, it is only one ethnic group that has always produced a governor of Lagos. That is, sorry, Benue. That is mean. Very mean. To them, all other ethnic groups in Benue State don't exist, don't matter. They have no rights because they are in the majority. If you are to change into this, trickle it down so that those people who are not of the one single majority ethnic group in Benue will also have the right to be in the governor's office. Peradventure, they will do better than those people we have always had there because they belong to the majority ethnic group in Benue. Let it happen in all parts of Nigeria. There are minorities in every state. Why should somebody be relegated because he or she doesn't belong to the majority? So let's have it at the presidential level, at the state level, at local government level, and trickle down until we are ready to go for merit. And possibly maybe when we go around choosing, so we can even find merit from among the minorities who have been relegated because they are few in number.
Despite this rotation argument, quite a good number of citizens are of the opinion that whether presidency, governorship, and every other level in governance should be based on capacity rather than tribe or region. What are your thoughts on this?
I align with that. But because the people in power from majority of the favored groups have not shown the right capacity for leadership, let's rotate. Who says you cannot find the best or a commendable leader from among an ethnic group of 200 persons? It's not about quality of the human being, it's not about the number. It's about the individual. Now, let's go to the basics in history. All the people that changed countries from a downtrodden state to the heart of the world, they were individuals. We can get an individual for the minority, and we say it wasn't by merit because it was by rotation. Possibly that person from the minority can be the game changer. So since we are not ready to be fair to all because we come from the majority, let's rotate. Maybe we can even get the best from among the minority.
Thank you so much. That was insightful. And finally, before I let you go, the sponsors of this bill have said they are not deterred by this rejection by other lawmakers. They have said more consultation will be made and the bill will be represented at a later time. Do you think more attempts should be made in this regard, or it should just be left alone and the consultation be left aside and let's just do with what we have at the moment?
What they are saying is the normal thing to do in politics. That is lobbying. That is political horse trading. In political game, you don't make a single effort. If it fails, you run away. There was somebody in this country, even when he became president, it was a unapologetic crisis. But he tried about 4 times to be president before he became president. Consistency is important. Let them go back, lobby again, especially lobby the people in the minority groups all over Nigeria, those, the unfavored ones. Form a coalition, push it again. And I want to tell you that I have from the grapevine that this bill has something to do with somebody who contested for the presidential slot, I think of the PDP, and didn't win. So would you be surprised that the presidency can decide at all costs to shut it down because it is not from them? So the people shouldn't throw in the towel. They should go for it until they get it. I believe in tenacity. I believe in persistence. So long as what you want to do is the right thing, you are convinced and persuaded.
Public Affairs Analyst Mr. Ikenna Emewo, thanks so much for your time. That's how much you can take on the program. I'm Sydney Okafor. See you next time.